up, guys? It's Kevin Markarian. I'm here with my good friend and legend in the industry, Mike Bjorkman.
Hey, guys.
We're here. We're at actually in Pelican Hill Resort in Newport Beach, and we're at the closing table event. I feel like I'm
there we are.
I feel like we're like Montgomery Burns from The Simpsons with this like lighting in this boardroom. I'm waiting for someone to come and yell at us and tell us we're fired or something. But, so I'm really, really happy and excited to be talking to my good friend Mike Bjorkman here. This guy is seriously one of the most successful people in the industry. He's like a time management expert, runs 4 businesses. He's been through 3 different cycles, ups and downs of real estate. This guy's outlasted just about every person that I know in the industry. And I'm just honored and excited to have you
Thanks,
here with
buddy.
us, man. So yeah, tell us, if you guys don't know Mike, I mean, first of all, you've done so many things, you've accomplished so many things in the industry. Tell us a little bit about like where you came from, what you did, where you're at now, and kind of.
All right, pretty simple. I got in the business in 1991. I was about 18 and a half, almost 19 years old, and started humping in the real estate business, right? I was on my own, had to pay bills, and I became basically what we call a seminar whore. And I just went to every single seminar there was, and I just got all the knowledge, and luckily worked hard enough to where I could start selling houses right away. By the time I was 21, I was one of the top 20 agents in the company, and we were doing, since the year 2000, let's just break it down easy, I've been doing over 100 sales consistently a year, depending on the market cycles up and down. And I've been through basically every possible aspect of the business. You know, it's weird doing a webinar sitting side by side. I've done everything from short sales to REO to for sale by owners, expireds, geographical farming, and I don't want to sound braggy, but I've excelled at all those things, because if I take a project on, I know in the real estate business, and I'm sure you guys watching do too, if you don't do it 150%, it doesn't work. It's kind of like if you call an expired and just leave a message and don't follow up, it doesn't work. So why bother, right? If you call for sale by owner and you don't know what to say, why bother? So I kind of excelled at all the different items during all the different market cycles. So 2007, I started property management company. Today, we have California Leasing, and that's, 600 plus properties. And a lot of our sales come from that. I do a lot of coaching and training across the country for agents. And I just love real estate, man. It's all I know. It's all I've ever done. And over the years, I've started other businesses. I like to diversify. I've been through enough cycles and recessions to know that it's a good thing to have your hands in a couple other things, not real estate related. I'm also an investor. I've done a lot of flips, and I own a bunch of rental properties. So if you're going to work in a business, you might as well invest in it too,
Yeah. And you're definitely, I mean, you're a guy who's totally excelled. I mean, it's not braggy at all. It's a fact. And you're excelling now. You've got the 4 businesses. And, I wanted to talk with you about some of the things that agents should really focus on with regards to, I mean, you have this thing you call the 7 Fs, right?
Yeah.
And that's like your thing. And I've heard it, I don't know how many times I've heard it. We've talked about it many times ourselves individually. And every time I hear this thing, it's like I take something away. So maybe we could just go into that a little bit. And then I want to ask you some other questions.
Fair enough. Agents live in the rat race, right? That's a really good word to use. Everybody knows it. And the most interesting thing about being a real estate agent is divorce rates are super high. We lose our children, we lose our businesses, we lose everything. And I believe that is because agents don't balance their life. The book I'm writing right now is actually called Life Balance for the Workaholic. And it's not real estate agent related, it's entrepreneur related. And I believe that all real estate agents are entrepreneurs.
Totally.
So to break it down, if you guys have a pen in front of you, or maybe you go watch it later, it's pretty simple. It starts off with the most important thing, which is faith. I believe we need to believe in something, whether it's religion, whether you want to worship a rock, whether you want to believe in the law of attraction, it doesn't really matter, right? But you got to believe in something, because if you don't believe in something or have that in your soul and in your heart, it's why are we here, right?
A greater power. And what's interesting about that, Mike, is every successful person that I've talked last week, I talked to Sharon, and he said the same exact thing. So that's really interesting that you point that out.
It took a long time to figure it out too. I was young, wild, and crazy in my 20s. And one day I was at a seminar and they were talking about meditation. And I just, something hit me. I'm like, you know what? I don't really believe anything. I had a relationship with God, the God that I knew, but it wasn't where I wanted it to be. So I had to figure that out. And then after that, I went straight into family. I got married at, I think it was 25, had a kid. With that relationship, he came as a package with her. You know, a little over 1, I had to raise him and, you know, turn into a father really quick from Vegas and Cabo every weekend to all of a sudden I'm a family man. And then, you know, right away we got married, had a kid. So now we have kid number 2. And, you know, I lost my father, and all of a sudden family became really important to me. And I realized very quickly, especially in the real estate business, if you don't nurture that family and those relationships, they don't believe in you. They start to stray. They, you know, you just can't hold any household together. And then when you're doing that, it's pretty stressful. Would you agree? Wife, kids, and mom and dad and all this stuff.
Absolutely. I mean, you mentioned entrepreneurship, and being real estate professionals is part of entrepreneurship. And yes, we are, and many of us wear so many different hats, right? Like as an individual agent, we're the accounting, we're the marketing, we're the sales, we're everything. So like our time is consumed, and yes, it puts stress on our lives, on our families, on our faith, on all those things.
Yeah, I remember a quick story. I remember we were at the Grand Canyon, and my son looks up, he might've been 3 or 4 at the time. He looks up at me and goes, "Daddy, who made the Grand Canyon?" And I said, "Well, son, God did." And I was going to go into the story with them and you know, make something up or whatever. But then my phone rang, and it was one of my listings, you know, a deal falling apart. And I pulled aside, and I was on the phone, and I hung up. My wife says, "I can't believe you just said that to your son, and then you walked away and answered the phone." And I said, "You know what? You're lucky that we can afford to be here. So if I have to take a phone call, I have to take a phone call." It took me probably 10 years later to realize the guilt set in from that one incident. That was not the time to answer the phone, right? But when we're young and trying to be successful in the business, we have to make decisions. And I made the wrong decision at that time. So that's why I try so hard to help my clients and friends understand life balance right now. And family drives you nuts, right? So that leads into friends. Without your friends, there's no way you can deal with your family. So friends are important. And if you don't spend time with them and you don't learn from them and grow from them, laugh and play with them, you'll lose them too. And friends are hard to find. There's millions and billions of people in the world, but when you meet somebody like you, you know, I peel off time to spend time with you, talk to you whenever you call. And I realize that relationship's valuable, and we have fun talking
totally.
and do things that other people can't or won't, right?
Yes. And let me ask you a question real quick, Mike, going back on your question, what you mentioned about family. That's really important. That's a challenge for me too. So you're obviously a very, very successful guy, like one of the top people in the country and probably in the world in terms of sales and marketing and real estate. So would you say then that, I mean, when you started, you would take that phone call when you were like on that drive, right?
Yeah, till midnight every night. Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you a question. This might be a hard question. Do you think you would be where you are today had you not done what you did?
If I would have had somebody like me teaching me what I've learned, and I did have a lot of mentors bring me along the way, I probably would still be here if I would have found balance too, because over the last 10 years or so, we've actually found how to do this. And that's what we're going to talk about a little bit today. So, you know, then after friends, it comes fitness, right? A mentor once told me, you have to give energy to receive it. If you just sat around eating Doritos all day behind a desk,
tastes good,
you're tired at 3 o'clock, you know, you can't. So I believe fitness is a really powerful part of our life. You know, experts will say 20, 30 minutes a day of cardio. You know, you watch Tony Robbins bouncing on his trampoline, and there's just a lot of different things that I've learned. I mean, if you think about it, have you ever met somebody that came out of the gym and said, "Oh, I feel like crap"? You just don't, man.
Right.
You get the endorphins going and certain chemicals in your body get going. Your mind thinks clear, your blood's pumping, you got more oxygen, and now you can really do what you need to do. So many people, they say, "Hey, I can't go to work today because I'm sick." Well, yeah. I mean, how about you get sick of being sick and start doing something about it? So move around, basically, you know, and then if you take care of your body, now you can take care of your work and your family, right?
Right. So it's really sounds like about taking action, right? So
move around.
So if there's a problem, do something about it, right?
Absolutely.
So if there's a FISBO, take action. So it's almost almost on the same page there.
Yeah, I mean, just this last couple of weeks, we've been going so hard. We were on vacation for almost 30 days or longer, and I was feeling done and stressed out. And I realized, you know, I haven't been taking my vitamins and minerals the way I shouldn't have. And I've missed the gym 3 out of 4 weeks. And I was like, God, I gained weight. I felt like crap. So we're back on track, right? IV therapy and hit the sweat check. Oh yeah, you were there.
That's funny. So here's a little quick story.
No, need to tell that story.
So I'm going to tell a funny story about Mike. So we're all on Marco Polo, all of us, like myself, Mike, Tristan, Sunit, Sam, and a bunch of us, and we're always chatting and stuff, and we're doing these videos and we're talking to one another. And so we're chatting, and then everyone's kind of like in their office or doing their own thing. And then we get a message from Mike, and he's like on a hospital bed, like getting IVs and stuff. And I'm like, what are you doing? And but no, I mean, it was like you were doing something that you weren't like sick. You were just taking care of your body.
If your car is sick, you need oil changes, you need new brakes, you need new tires, and so do our bodies. So anyways, so let's move on to that. So after that, we jump right into finances, right? So we're so busy all the time, we need to work on our finances. And with that comes retirement planning and things like that. And of course, the first 15 years of my career, I didn't care. I was just living the life. I came from nothing, right? I was, we didn't have much. I never did vacations or anything. So when I started making millions of dollars, I started partying and playing, and I never had anything to show for it. I never had any money in the bank, but dang it, I had a good lifestyle. So now finances are a big part of our career and a part of our lives. And I think you need to take some time every single week to say, hey, based on what I'm going to close next month, I'm going to put this much away, or I'm going to start this 401k or this Roth or this charitable family trust or whatever, and try to build things that matter for finances.
Let me ask you on that real quick, because you've been through, again, lots of different cycles. You've gone through lots of different things. So we have this challenge in our industry. I mean, it's great that we're 100%, we're basically 1099 workers, right?
Yes,
so we work on 100% commission. We get the entire check. There's no social security or anything taken out. What do you think? Do you have a number or anything that, like, in terms of a recommendation, if I make X amount of dollars on a transaction, do I take a percentage out, or what do we do?
Not that I do it all the time, but I try to, create a fifth. Some goes into savings, some goes into this one investment, some goes into maybe a future business that I'm investing in. Just different, I try to just 10, 10, 10 or 20, 20, 20. But now everything I do is pretty much forced. The rental property, I have an account that goes into, we have a certain amount that goes into the 401k that has to go in. I don't touch it. I have other accounts that just automatically go away. So I'm expressive and I'm super live by the seat of my pants. So I need to be structured. I need somebody to take it away from me and put it away. But that's important. You gotta plan. Like, you wake up one day and you're in your 40s and go, hey, when am I going to retire and how?
Right.
So another thing, like you said before, it's time to take action. And then after that, I think even just as important is future business. And don't get finances confused with future business. Finances is, am I going to make semi-monthly payments on my house to pay it off early? Future business is, what else are we going to do? Like you and I, we're working on expanding California leasing. We opened our office in Newport Beach, and that's going to be huge. That's future business, right? We're going to explode our sales. You and I are going to gain freedom. We're going to get predictable monthly cash flow, which real estate agents don't get to have. Right. So you've seen the light. Right. So we've been working on that. We hired a salesperson. We're creating our entities. We're doing all this sort of stuff, but we have to make time to do that. You and I are perfect examples. We've been trying to do a couple of things for a few weeks, and summer vacations. When are we doing this? But we have to set time away, and that's what we've been doing. So, and then the last thing, the seventh thing is, to me, the best one, right? Fun. If you do all this hard work, you save all this money, you juggle your friends, you juggle your family, you got to be rewarded, right? We're sitting at one of the top hotels in the country right now, and we're going to have fun. We're going to use the money that we've made. We're going to have fun. We're going to nurture our relationships. We're going to do things that most people can't do.
And we're going to learn.
Especially.
And it's an investment of our time and our resources to have fun.
And a heck of a write-off, right? So fun. I mean, so with all these 7 Fs, what we really need to do is we need to get a chart. Picture going to Walmart and getting a poster board, or one of those title company calendars that I hate on the desk, and just write across 7 days a week. There's 7 Fs. Focus on one every day. Right. And then once you get good, you can do 2 and 3, because on Sunday you could actually go to church, right? Then you could spend lunch with your family, then you have a poker game with your friends, and then that night you can work on your finances. So, but at least if you focus one thing a day, that your friends, your family, your fitnesses, your future, all that stuff is taken care of.
So let's just go over the 7 Fs real quick. So you guys are listening, I would definitely write these down. I try my very best to live by this stuff, and it really, really does work. So faith, family, friends, fitness, finances, future business, and fun. And Dan, I know you're watching this, and if you could put that in the comments if you haven't done so already. I want to ask you real quick, we're going back to finances real quick, because a lot of us are, we're closing transactions, the market's good. I think this is a really important topic. Would you say, in terms of like reinvesting in our business, is there a specific amount that you think or percentage that we should be investing in leads? And
yeah, I think 20% of every dollar you make should go right back into your business. You know, when you get a check for say $10,000 and you spend 9,500 of it on your bills, well, you got to look at what did bring that lead. What was it? And could I take that money and bring more in? So in the last, 5 years, technology is amazing. We have Ylopo, we have Commission Zinc, we have Vulcan 7, we have all these cool things to invest in. But when you look at the checkbook at the end of the month, I'm spending 20, 25 grand a month, and I'm sure you are too. So if I don't do that 90 days from now, our business is going to crash. I mean, yes, we're going to get referrals and all that stuff, but let's be honest, referrals are starting to slow down. A lot of our past clients that we haven't properly attended to are going discount brokerages. They're going to Zillow agents. And, you know, when's the last time you got an online lead that you didn't buy that was worth anything? Years, right?
Right.
So I think our websites are only business cards now, and we really need to purchase or even organically or use SEO to bring the leads in. But well, that's a good thing. Let's talk about that, because we talked about the 7 F's, but let's talk about our daily schedule for a real estate agent and what that should be.
Yes.
Very first thing we talk about is our fitness. I think an hour a day should be invested in fitness, even if it's 15 minutes to the gym, 30 minutes there, 15 minutes home, something like that.
Okay.
At least
so you can split it up. So you can do 10 minutes of whatever.
Yeah,
cardio.
you can even walk at night, or
as long as it's an hour a day.
As long as you get it in.
I like that.
You got to get it in.
It's almost like time blocking.
Yeah,
right?
Well, this is time blocking.
Well,
that's what we're doing.
And
right
even
now.
splitting up your physical activity, you can time block that too.
Exactly.
I love that.
So that leads into an hour a day of self-help, right?
Okay.
We get beat up as real estate agents. We're getting our butts kicked all over the place. Deals are falling up. I mean, it's just an emotional roller coaster that we hear all the time. Self-help is not skill set. Skill set is what we'll talk about next, but self-help is reading books on health, on weight loss, or, you know, reading Tony Robbins or listening to motivational things. If you believe in the law of attraction, I listen to The Secret a lot and things like that. That has to be an hour a day.
What are 2 good books that you'd recommend right now?
The biggest things for me is I still really rely on The Secret a lot.
The Secret.
And then I love Loving What Is by Byron Katie. That's a really good book. And then also the other book that I read or listen to a lot is the 21 Laws of Management.
Okay. And I'm just curious.
I mean, there's so many books.
Yeah, there are.
But what happens is every one of these seminars or masterminds we go to, somebody will recommend a book or give us a book, right? And then I'll download that book and listen to it. And when we're talking about our fitness in the mornings, that's when I like to get in an hour a day of my self-help. So on the stairs, on the treadmill, I'm pumping very positive things into my head. Taking a walk, driving around in the car, and then an hour a day of skill set is crucial, man.
Like what?
Role playing, scripts, dialogues, anything that comes with the real estate business, right? So we just said Vulcan 7. Do we know how to use it? Commission Zinc. Do we know how to use it? Work on that skill set. How could we better it? How could we use all the best practices? That is your skill set.
Got it.
So anything that's going to make you better in real estate. If we spend all this money buying leads, but then we don't know what to say to them, you know, like right now, our market's turning, it's softening, it's stabilizing, whatever you guys want to call it. Some will say it's crashing. But the reality is now we have whole different scripts and dialogues that many of these great people on this webinar haven't practiced before. Price reductions, extending listing contracts. There's a lot of things that we need to say, and we have been saying in the last 30 days that I haven't said in 5 years.
So how do we, if I'm a new agent or if I'm someone that hasn't experienced these things, how do I learn about
it's
that?
super simple. Our podcast, realestatemarketingshow.com. We're going to be working on a lot of different things for the changing market, but it's simple. You know, Club Wealth, Lab Code Agents is probably the place where I learned the most from. Events, masterminds. Yeah, Mike Ferry retreats going on right now, or just ended, I think. Tom Ferry, doesn't matter. Craig Proctor, Daniel Penley, Shane Penley, all these people.
YouTube.
YouTube is has a wealth of information, and it's free, right?
Yeah.
You know, I'll spend money on anything that I think is going to help my business. And one thing I recommend is don't just follow one trainer, right? Get bits and pieces from everybody, write it down, implement it into your lifestyle, your work, and your belief system, right? And try things. Well, that script didn't work. I got slapped in the face. We'll go for this script. You know, a Mike Ferry script is very different than a Tom Ferry script, right? You know,
totally.
So we have to work on skill set every single day.
And remaining around people that are positive too, right? So if you have an accountability partner that's bringing you down, then probably change your accountability.
And that's going to be the last part we talk about in this thing.
So we're on skill set now.
Skill set. And then we need 2 hours a day of prospecting, right? Agents don't like prospecting because something else is going to get in the way. Oh, I have to do this audit, or I have an inspection or an appraisal. No. You have to prospect. And that's just a no-brainer.
What's prospecting to you?
Prospecting to me is calling our property management clients, firing off private Facebook messages. Anything I can do in my underwear, I'm going to do. I don't like open houses in 110 degree heat. I don't like door knocking, getting bit by dogs, but people love that and it works. When I was new in the business, I did that all day, every day. I did open houses 7 days a week. I door knocked 2-3 hours before an open house. I was on the streets, but 2 hours a day, you're always going to get a couple leads, right?
Right.
Keep that pipeline full. And then after that, we have an hour a day of follow-up. Follow-up is very different than prospecting because prospecting is finding new. Follow-up is nurturing and converting old.
That's a really important distinction.
Yeah, if all you ever did was follow up with people, your leads in your pipeline will disappear someday because you're not bringing in new.
Right.
So you have to segregate those perfectly.
Let me ask you real quick on this prospecting. So you were talking about bringing in new. What are some places where people can go right now they can bring in new?
The number one thing always will be is an open house.
Okay.
If you do it right, especially the training that we have on our podcast, we have 2 hours of open house training, mega open houses, if you will. You'll never be broke. If all you ever did was open houses, you're fine, right? Okay, and then calling your sphere of influence and nurturing them, kind of the Brian Buffini lifestyle or way of life, I love. Pop-bys, nurturing those relationships, really, really leaning on people that you already know and the people that know and like and trust you. And that's so cliche, but we need to say, how do we get to know people? How do we get them to trust us? And how do we get them to like us? Because there's a very different between trust and like. Right. I have clients that trust me to sell their house, but they hate my guts. And I have them tell me that. You're the biggest jerk I've ever met, but I believe wholeheartedly you can sell my house. So how do I get them to like me? So I focus a lot on that. And lo and behold, we have pipelines of clients forever,
That's awesome.
So it works out really good. Then as a real estate agent, whether you're a listing agent or a buyer's agent, you need 2 hours a day of previewing property. Okay. Now I realize this is hard on our time schedules, but when I walk into a listing appointment and I know more than the seller about their neighborhood, that's important. Totally. When I'm pricing property, if I can price it correctly, and this is going to matter more now than ever. Last couple of years, you could price the property whatever you want. The seller wants this. Okay, let's try it. But dude, you can't do that anymore. I've done $75,000 price reductions this week alone.
Wow.
It's a big deal. And if I don't go out and see those houses, and one of the best listing agents in my town, he personally previews property every single day still, and he kills it with listings. So the reason I'm focusing on listings is a lot of the great lab coat agents are like, I don't want to focus on buyers. I don't want to preview property. But previewing property, if you do work buyers, you cut out from showing 10 houses to 2. We have a lot of good buyer training on our podcast and YouTube channel as well. You guys should all check that out for sure. Cuts down your time tremendously, so you can balance the workload of life, So, and then after that, I say appointments. Appointments have to be fit in. You're going to have an appointment or 2 or 3 a day sometimes, and you're going to have to juggle this schedule. It should be your daily schedule, exactly what you do every day, unless you can't. If you have to list a home at 1 o'clock and you should be previewing property at that time, you're going to have to make up the previewing the next day or cut it a little short. We understand. I'm not a micromanager and I can't stand those daily schedules that go by 15-minute increments because that's not real. Things happen in life. But as long as you're about that, an hour a day of self-help, an hour a day of skill set, an hour a day of fitness, an hour or 2 hours a day of prospecting, 2 hours a day of preview, an hour a day of follow-up, now you have balance. So what we've done right now is we've balanced out a real estate agent's workday, and then we've balanced out their life. So you merge those two things together and you plan it weekly, right? Yeah. And that's all part of time management. And another important part of that is if you're going to plan your week and your month out, make sure you have your to-do list before you go to bed and then when you wake up, because they're going to be different every night and every morning. Every morning I wake up and go, what did I write last night? Oh yeah, that's right. And then you think of things in the morning, oh, I got to do this, or you check your email or voicemail or text and you're like, oh, now I'm adding to my to-do list, right? So we got to go through that.
Man, I'm like thinking of questions. Every question I think of, you answer it. It's so good. So let me ask you this, because again, we're talking about wearing different hats as real estate professionals, and I want to get into systems and leverage and everything because you're a master at that as well. But we have so many different things that we have to do during the day. How do we decide what to do, like on your to-do list? How do I know what to prioritize? Right. How do I go down that list to make sure I'm accomplishing the things that I should be focused on?
There's a couple of different ways to do it. And this is not written down, but these are just questions I ask myself, and you guys, if you're watching, should write it down. Will this affect my 7 Fs? How does this affect my friends, my family, my faith? And if it affects any of those in a negative way, don't do it. If it affects it in a positive way, then we got to do it.
Wow.
So if you say, oh, I have this inspection, or I have to go fill out this disclosure, can somebody else do it for me? Now, number one thing is delegation. What can I take off my plate to make me more productive, right? That's how I kind of prioritize things. How can I get this off my plate? Who's going to do it better than me? And how do I execute and implement that?
Okay, now speaking of delegation, so I'm an agent, I'm doing everything on my own. At what point is it justified to hire someone to
Immediately? Absolutely. Wow. Immediately. Doesn't matter if you're day one in the business. Most companies nowadays have in-house transaction coordinators, right? That's a huge thing.
Right.
If they don't, there is an independent contractor nearby that'll do transaction coordinating. Dude, I've wasted more time stapling and filing and uploading photos into MLS and just things that you think, God, like if just somebody else could do this for me. So they charge $500 a deal, right? Let's say $300 to $500. Well worth it.
Right. I agree with that.
And even maybe more important as a personal assistant, you know, to say, look, work for me 2 hours a day. I'll pay you $15 an hour, just 2 hours a day. Here it is: lunch, dry cleaning, get my dog license, re-register my car. Things that you should not be doing.
Right.
Standing in line at the DMV is not going to make me another 10 grand tomorrow, right? So delegate it to somebody.
Right.
You know?
That's actually,
and that's why you take that chunk out of every paycheck and put it in the bank to put back into your business. You have to do that. So then how can you go even farther? Can I have somebody be a showing agent for me? Can I use technology like Tenant or Showmo or something to actually use electronic lock boxes to let people in on their own? You know, how can I delegate all these tasks and chores to where I can work on my 7Fs, right? So right now we're building these other businesses, right? So I have to find 2 hours a day instead of prospecting. I mean, I'm recruiting like crazy, right? I mean, that's all my life is right now is recruiting. But the reality is I have to find time to work on these future businesses and keep them together. So there's times of the day where I have to put out fires. I have to work with my team. You know, I can see my phone right now. I got my team texting me
blowing
like crazy. I'm wondering if I said something bad. I'm like, but you know, you got to make time for that. So my personal assistant, who I love, and we call her the badass operations manager for Team Bjorkman, Lindsay. She's so awesome. Dude, email. I need somebody darn near full-time just for email. You know, I use SaneBox for my email, and that kind of sorts it out by itself. But then she's on it taking care of emails because it's customer service, right? Agents or clients these days want things now.
Totally.
Right. They want a text message returned within minutes. They want an email returned within an hour. They want a phone call returned within an hour. So if we're not providing that good customer service, they think we're slacking. Right. So my favorite thing when people call me, they say, dude, you're so busy, but yet you answer your phone. You call me back. You return text messages. You return your Marco Polos. And I go, yeah, because I've built these systems around me to support my lifestyle. So those things can happen so I can nurture important relationships.
And it's so true. And I've noticed now that I think about it more and more. Some of the most successful people out there are actually the most responsive, right? And what we're talking about here is we're talking about leverage. We're talking about systems. So what are some things that you've done? I mean, you've got all these businesses, all this stuff going on. I call you, boom, you answer, right? So what are some things that you've done in terms of creating systems to allow you to get to where you're at now?
Well, a lot of the systems I've bought, right?
Okay.
I've been to seminars. How do you train your assistant? How do you train your buyer's agents, your showing agents? What are the systems? When I get a listing, I drop it off on a desk and everything's in the right way and it gets handled. Now I can go back to marketing that property, right? Trying to pick up new business from that property at the same time taking care of the seller who's trusted me to sell their home. You know, one of the best things that people say to me at listing appointments is, Mike, you're so busy. How do I know you're taking care of me? How do I know you're taking care of my house? And maybe they interviewed an agent before, says, oh, Mike's too busy to do anything for you. I say, simple. Here I am. I'm here for you. All this great stuff is handling with systems and procedures and people doing things that don't matter. All you care about is that I'm marketing property, finding as many buyers a day as possible. Right. And that's how I do it. Here's my numbers to prove it. Shoot a hole in my system. Now, think about the agent you talked to a couple hours ago that might do 20 or 30 deals this year. Why don't we see what they're doing right now? If I had a magic ball, ooh, look, they're showing other houses, not yours. That's weird. How are you going to get in a bidding war if your agent's showing other houses right now?
Wow.
They're just like, okay, where do I sign? It's super simple.
So one thing you mentioned earlier, which I think is very, Very important. I mean, you talked about hiring an assistant 2 hours a day, $15 an hour. I mean, guys, that's $30 a day. That's like a lunch,
Or
right?
a VA or
Or
a
a
marketing
VA.
assistant or anything like that, right?
So for you, so you've got all these great systems in place. What was the most difficult part of putting those systems in place for you?
The initial pain of writing checks, right? And the first 6 months, you're like, is this all worth it? All of a sudden, you're like, well, I've sold twice as many homes, and you have to look at that and say, why was I able to do that? Well, I'm not photocopying, I'm not making flyers, I'm not uploading photos to Zillow and all this crap that doesn't matter. I'm talking to people that make a difference, people that can afford to buy, sell, rent, or invest in real estate. If I'm able to talk to more people, I know that's working. But that was really difficult in the beginning to realize, understand, because everything takes a little bit of time.
So it's that investment that you're making, and it's an investment in your business, right?
That was the hardest part, you know. And I watch my agents. I have almost 300 agents that work for me, and I go, "Where are you? Oh, Cabo, we're having fun, you know." And I'm like, "Last week you asked for a loan. Like, what the hell?" Like, as a matter of fact, just this morning or yesterday, I had a client at the property management company say, "I'm really sorry. I was trying to get a hold of the owner. They were on vacation. And I know you asked for new carpet, but they're in a really financial bind." I'm like, you said that like in the same sentence. I'm like, oh, God.
Yeah. It's just a matter of, at the end of the day, it's like understanding that we are operating a business, and the agents that have that mindset that this is a business, and you don't have to do every single thing. Talk about delegation. I mean, you're the master of that, master of time management. It's really about finding ways to leverage and getting out and being in front of as many people as possible with the least amount of effort.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that's great. I want to ask you, we talked about a lot of different things. What are some things that you think agents should be focusing on right now? I mean, like, there's lots of tech. There's like, where should they be focusing their business in terms of focusing on to generate more business? Is it online? Is it, listings, the traditional models? I mean, what do you think about?
It's that pie, right? We need to focus on branding. Branding is huge. You want to be a local celebrity in your town. So branding means everything to me. How am I going to get in front of people? Community events, community outreach, charity, branding, right? How am I going to make a brand out of myself? That's cool. Phone calls come in from that. Then past clients and sphere of influence. Spend money on the pop buys, spend money on the phone calls and the technology to help stay in touch with those people. And then you want to buy the new leads too, right? You want to buy as much leads as you can possibly afford if they work for you. If you have the time or the systems or the manpower to return the calls properly, right? Yep. We struggle with that right now. Anybody needs a job. We have thousands of leads that are falling through the cracks right now.
He's serious.
That's and I'm not kidding when I say thousands, but also there's the physical art of prospecting, right? So you take that pie and you spend your day or your week or your month and you slice it and say, okay, I need to spend this time. And it goes back to the 7Fs, right? We need to spend time on future business. We need to spend time on finances. We need to spend time. And when we talk about the 2 hours a day of prospecting or 2 hours a day of previewing, a lot of that and the skill set, matter of fact, comes into implementing those systems. Like, we struggle on our team sometimes. We have all these systems that we pay for. Like, I just found out yesterday, because my credit card had changed, that ProQuest, the 800 numbers, apparently we have a ProQuest account that we haven't been using in a year, and I've been paying $50 a month. You know? But if I would have, and I started thinking about it, I said, dude, why aren't we doing that? I have so many great marketing plan for that 800 number, how to increase business, how to bring in money and calls. So it gets my mind going. So I'm a marketing guy, but dude, you got to spend time to implement and train your staff and train your team and find people around you that matter in your life that you can trust, that will help you with those things. Because they could either help you do it for you, or encourage you to do it and do it better.
And everybody wins. And you're like one of the most driven guys that I know. I mean, you've done so many things. I want to dig a little bit deeper now. So we talked about the 7Fs. We talked about the daily schedule. Like, what is really driving you? Like, what is your why? I mean, everyone out there, we know about Mike Yorkman. We know all the success that you've had. Like, what is it that really, really, at the end of the day, if you don't mind sharing, like?
No, I found my why. I've been broke. I grew up broke, right? I never got to water ski. I never got to motorcycle ride. I never got to go to the beach for a long time. I never really stayed in a hotel. I stayed in a 78 Volkswagen van with my parents. I mean, I had a great childhood, just terrible experience as far as fun, because financial reasons. And then in my early 20s, I was making millions. Then the recession hit. We got a 75% pay cut. So I've had a lot of slaps in the face. Like, you better pay attention, man. So my why, and as a matter of fact, at the closing table this week, we're having Dean Gracio, so I can never say his name. He's coming here to speak, and he's one of my mentors. And I've watched him do it a couple different times, 7 layers deep, because we always say our why. Well, I want to make money. You got to go deeper. Ask yourself, well, I want to make money. Why? Because I want an expensive car. Why? Because this. And you go that deep, and then you end up in tears, and you share that with everybody. But at the end of the day, my why was, I don't want anybody that's around me that I love to ever suffer the way I did several times in my life, whether it be my kids, my wife, my parents, my wife's parents, my friends, my neighbors, whoever I love and care for. If they need money, they're going to get money. They're going to get whatever they need. If they need medical treatment, whatever. I don't want anybody to suffer like I did.
Wow.
And that's the biggest why for me. So I'm driven to make money. And since I told you earlier, I spent millions and millions and threw it down the drain, up my nose, on planes, but it doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now I'm like, oh crap, I'm 45 or 40. I don't even know how old I am, but I'm definitely close to wanting to retire, right? So I feel like I have 5 or 10 years to really have make a difference in this world and make a difference in my life. So that's it. After 5 more years, I need to retire and just spend more time with myself, with my family, and invest in bigger things: hotels, strip malls, apartment buildings. I don't want to go on a listing appointment in 5 years. I really don't even want to do it today, but I'm willing to do things that other agents can't or won't do to provide for my friends, family, loved ones, and my lifestyle.
Man.
So that's why I'm driven. And honestly, if you're not doing all these things, what are you going to do all day? I've sat on the beach for 7 days in Maui this month.
Right.
And day 3, I'm like,
You're bored.
I've seen the turtle. I've seen the volcano. I went on the helicopter. Now what?
Right.
Well, let's go help other people make money. Let's go enjoy more things with people. And I enjoy real estate. So if you don't like certain aspects of real estate, don't do those things. Like, I don't like door knocking. I already said that. I'm not going to do it because I don't want to get burnt out anymore. Like I said, anything I could do in my underwear to make money, I want to do that, because that means I could do it on a beach. I could do it on a plane. I could do it here with you, talking to these great people.
So, and what you mentioned, you talked about like your childhood and your upbringing and everything, and that gave me chills. I mean, thank you so much for sharing that. That was really, really a beautiful like story that you shared with us, and thanks for doing that. I want to shift into, like, you talked about, you had like a slap in the face multiple times in your life and your career. So, I mean, I don't feel like the market is like, there's not going to be 2008 all over again, right? But there are some adjustments happening right now. What are some things that that you would say that are semi-recession proof?
Property management is the biggest one. You guys know I love property management. If you know me, like I said, it's predictable monthly cash flow. If the market's going down fast, I'll give you a good example. The market's going down right now. We have a lot of sellers that want to sell their property. They took them out of our rental portfolio, put them on the market, and they said, oh, we're going to maximize our equity. Now we're getting them all back because they put them on the market. They couldn't get the price they needed or wanted. Now we're getting them back to rent.
Got it.
First indicator. But when the market goes down, people say, I don't want to give my home away, so they give them to me to babysit. So now I have a database of people paying me a few $100 a month. How many people actually can say, my database pays me $300 a month per person, and they're excited to talk to me, right? So down market, property management's awesome. A stable market's bitching because people still buy and invest in real estate. They want their tenants to pay down their loan, and it's great. There's no scare, there's no panic, there's no rush. We're rental property. Someday it's a retirement vehicle.
Yep. When
the market's going up, everybody wants to maximize that benefit too. So I'm going to buy a market. The market's going up. So 3 to 5 years, I'm going to sell it. So now, our portfolio grows. And with an up market, prices go up, rental rates go up, paychecks for me go up. So it's recession proof. Property management is definitely recession proof. In the bad market, it brings me short sales. In the stable market, it brings me people buying and selling normal. And then when it's going up, people want to buy investments. And then once they reach a certain place, they all want to sell. So it's a great, very, very level, or, it's just stable. Right. I mean, it doesn't matter what market it's in, I'm safe. Because in 2007, when the market started going down hard, that's what saved me.
Wow.
It really did. I mean, I probably would have been on the streets if it wasn't for property management.
That's crazy. So I want to ask one last thing. You mentioned focusing on kind of sound like you were talking about focusing on strengths,
Mhm.
focusing on the things that you enjoy. I mean, you would agree with that, obviously.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of people kind of take the mindset where there's something that they're not so great at. They try to improve on those things as opposed to like, just do the things that you
Right.
want to do the things that
Mhm.
you enjoy. So I guess that's more of like a statement that I want. Not
No,
really a
but it's true.
question.
Like if we have a real estate business, people say, I don't want to door knock, but I have to get listings. No, you don't. Just do the things you like. That's what I like. People say, oh, you suck at snowboarding. Why don't you get better? Well, because I hate the cold. I don't like it. It's expensive and does nothing for me. It hurts, right?
Yeah.
I have to wear a helmet doing that. But they'll say, but you'll spend a lot of money on tropical places. Yes, because I like that. And I do the same thing with my business. You know, I don't like paperwork. I'm a paperwork person. I don't like computer work. I'm a computer person. All these things. So
Yeah.
only things I do: coach, train, nurture clients, hang out with charities and community outreach. I do the things that I love, that I'm passionate about. And I've recently learned there's a big difference in passion and obsession. We need to be obsessed with something. I only do things I'm obsessed with. I'm passionate about dogs, but I'm not obsessed enough about them to have 100 of them.
So to get where you are today, you had to focus on certain things that you enjoy, that you were obsessed with. So what are, like, real quick, couple things that like you did to get to where you are today, where now you're hiring people, now you're doing all these things. So
Right.
I know you're big on REOs. I mean, I don't know, that's not really relevant today, but maybe it will be.
Oh, it's going to be very, very soon.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're already starting to get a lot of BPO orders from people we haven't seen. Anyways, I think the question you asked was, what did I do? What do I think I did that made me successful? And
Yes.
I think it's focus on things that work, right? The things that have the best ROI that I like to do. So when Facebook came out, I was like, whoa, I was obsessed with Facebook because I found out in the first week or two, I got a listing from it. I'm like,
How'd you get a listing from Facebook?
just somebody from high school, a friend requested me. I'm like, hey, John, how you doing? Oh, hey, Mike, I want to sell a house. I'm like, without that, I would have never known that. I would have never sold that house. So I was obsessed with getting more and more and more. So over the last, 9 years or 8 years, whatever, I've been active on Facebook, I've actually physically tracked at least 50 sales a year and average of $500,000 a year income.
Wow.
So if I can make $500,000 a year in my underwear, having fun with friends that I grew up with and people that I know and past clients and all that stuff, that's what I'm going to do. So I'm obsessed with social media, obsessed with property management. REO for me and default was a big deal because I care about people's hearts. And I realized I can save people's houses. I could do loan mods for them. So I became obsessed with the default market. And I was doing more good than bad. We got a bad rap as real estate agents. Oh, we're just kicking people out of houses and profiting from it. But no, I would do everything I could to save a home, or everything I could do to leave the people in there through the holidays before I had to evict them. So I became obsessed with that. And then when the market turned, I became obsessed with the phone just ringing off the hook. Like all my hard work was paying off. So every time there's an upcycle, it's like, cool. All right, now let's work on future business.
Yeah.
So in that meantime, we bought a cell phone accessory company. We just recently invested in a very successful, like a spa where they do Botox and lasers and fat burning and all kinds of cool, all sorts of neat stuff. Now we have the time. We're expanding California leasing with you and other people. And
it stemmed from you doing the things that you enjoyed. So we just got a question. And I know there's some other questions too. And sorry, we weren't able to get to everyone.
We're running way over.
I know, but can a new agent focus on things that they enjoy?
Yes.
Okay.
We have a list of 100 different ways to prospect. One agent might be obsessed with working with bankruptcy attorneys. If you like that, do it. Some people I know love door knocking. Do it. Some people I know love open houses. Do it. Do the things you like. The things you don't like so much, don't do them. If you have to do them a little bit until you can afford to have somebody do it, or you've made the decision, that's one thing. But stop doing things you don't like. Focus on your strengths, not your weaknesses. People always say, like right now, I just cannot wrap my head around some of these systems that we have, like all the things commissioning does. I can't do it. I'm like, I try, I understand it, I know what it does, but I need somebody else smarter than me to implement that. And now we close, 5 deals a month off Commissions Inc. We close 5 deals a month off my Lopo.
That's awesome.
I don't know how to work it all, but I know it works, and I'm glad to pay for it because my ROI is 6, 7, 8 to 1. So it's a good deal for us.
So it's really about knowing what you know and knowing what you don't know. Right?
Being at events, being around lab coat, making sure I'm always 10 steps ahead of my competition. By the time we leave closing table, I'll come 10 ideas that'll absolutely blow my competition away, blow my sellers away, take me to the next level of technology. And now I'm cruising through the next whatever it is, because we're always going to be up on what's going on.
This has been like one of the very best interviews I've ever experienced. Like this was
Wow,
so
cool.
good.
Thanks,
I really appreciate it. I mean, we went over 17 minutes over, and I know everybody here enjoyed what you had to say, man. Thank you so much for your time. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you guys. Hope you all have a great week. And Mike Bjorkman, I'm sitting in the flesh with Mike Bjorkman. All right, everyone. Take care.
Take care, guys. Bye-bye. Thank you.